Hello, thanks for clicking on my video. Welcome to my channel, Lovely Moments Creating. If you are new here, consider joining the family by hitting that subscribe button and remember that notification bell so you can be reminded every time I upload a video. My name is Jenny, and on this channel I create budget-friendly home decor that's easy to do. So if you want to see some of my creations, keep watching. Well, hello there, my sweet friends. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching another one of my videos. I am truly grateful. I am sort of switching up some decor in my home to add more succulent pieces. So for today's video, I'm going to be sharing 7 simple succulent DIYs. For the first one, I'm going to be using 8 of these painter sticks, and this is the 3-pack from Walmart for 98 cents. Also, for the first DIY, I have 2 packs of these battery-operated fairy lights from the Dollar Tree, and those use the AA batteries. I have a few of these different style succulents from the Dollar Tree, and they have the clips on them that I'm going to remove. But this one here I picked up for 99 cents at Hobby Lobby. I'm going to be using that antique wax color paint, but this one is the new brand from Walmart, Hello Hobby. What I'm going to do first is cut 5 of these painter sticks down, and I'm just cutting the handle off. I am lining it up with the previous one that I cut just to make sure that all of them are the same size. And then once I get all of those sticks cut down, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to assemble these sticks how I am going to have them glued together. And so I am using these tumbling blocks here from the Dollar Tree to help create the same space in between each one of the sticks, and I will be using those 4 tumbling blocks later on for this DIY as well. So after I get them lined up, I'm going to take the remaining 3 sticks and I'm going to cut them down, but I'm going to measure the length of these sticks to see how much I need to cut off. Once I have all 3 of those cut off, I'm going to hot glue one to each end of the previous sticks. As you can see, I'm just going to hot glue that one on that end, and then I'm going to hot glue this one down, and then the third one I'm going to find the middle and I'm going to hot glue that one right down in the middle. And so then what I'm going to do is just flip it over, because this will be the front, and I'm going to take the Dollar Tree sanding block to sand down those edges where I cut some of those sticks so that there won't be any sharp edges. And then I'm just going to smooth down any areas that I think need to be smoothed down before I apply my paint. And then what I'm going to do is go in and I'm going to paint this, and I'm going to use some paper towel to wipe off the excess paint so I can get more of that stain look. So I'm just getting some decor ready to do my seasonal switch over, and I always love succulents, and I just decided that I wanted to add a few more succulents to my home decor. So after I finish getting this painted, what I'm going to do is take that Dollar Tree sanding block, and I'm just going to distress around a few areas of this sign. And then after I get that complete, what I'm going to do is flip it over. Now I am going to glue 2 sets of 2s of those tumbling blocks right on top of each other, because I'm going to glue these down to each end of this sign, because that's where I'm going to staple my jute cord so that I can be able to hang this. These tumbling blocks glued together are also the same width of the battery pack, and that way the sign will be leveled. And so I'm just making sure that I'm going to hot glue these to the back where I can still get inside and switch out the batteries. And then once I get all of that tacked down, I'm just going to unwind the string lights, because I'm going to start attaching these to the sign. So I'm going to do one set on one side and the other set on the other side. I'm just wrapping that extra cord around so I can hot glue that down, because that don't have any lights on it. And then I'm just literally stringing them through the sticks. I'm not trying to be all fancy with this. I don't care if you can see the strings. I just want to get them wrapped around this. So as you can see, I'm just going under one stick, over, under, over, and I'm only going on one side because I'm going to do the second battery pack for the other side. And then once I get that all wrapped around, I'm just going to take the last piece, and all I'm going to do is just add some hot glue and tack that down. And then I'm going to get ready and start wrapping the other string of lights to the other side of this sign. And I'm just repeating that step, doing the same thing by stringing it through each one of the sticks. And so then after I get that complete, what I'm going to do is just pull off all of these clips from these succulents. And I do save the clips so I can use them for future DIYs. And then I'm not going in any form or fashion. I'm just going to hot glue these succulents to the sign. And I am going to grab 2 more succulents from the Dollar Tree because after I started gluing them down, I wanted like 2 more. So I did just grab 2 more out of my stash. And as you can see, I'm just hot gluing them here and there. And then after I get that complete, I'm just going to staple that cord to each one of those sets of tumbling blocks, and this DIY is complete. And I think this is so cute. I'm going to pull out a few more of those lights because I see on one side it's not as bright as the other side, but I'm just going to pull some of the lights to the front a little bit more. But I think this is absolutely adorable. And for the next DIY, I'm going to be using this round hoop from Michaels, and these are $1.99. I have this wood faith sign from Walmart for $1.48. Also from Walmart, I'm going to be using this long succulent pick, and this was $4.99. I'm going to use the same color paint. And so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to attach that faith word sign right on top of that round piece. And I'm just going to use my hot glue for that. And then after I get that attached, the next thing I'm going to do is just go in with that paint. And I am going to paint the entire thing. I'm going to make sure I get in between the creases so that everything could be nicely painted. This is a very simple DIY, but this is actually probably my favorite. So I'm just wiping off the excess paint. And then what I'm going to do is cut that stem down a little bit. And then I'm just going to loop this right over. And I am going to staple it, but first I'm going to add some hot glue just for extra security. And then I'm going to take my staple gun and I'm just going to add some staples to the back of this. And I'm just going to go right on top of that stem through the wood. And then after I get that complete, all I'm going to do now is just take a little piece of jute cord, create a little hoop, and then I'm going to staple right on top of that. And then I'm going to cut down any extra string. And then this DIY is complete. And I absolutely love how this turned out. For this next DIY, I'm going to be using 3 of these wood pieces from Michaels, and these were 99¢. I also picked up some really cute succulents from Michaels off of clearance, and these 2 here were $1.50. And then I have 2 of these smaller ones, and these were just 50¢. And I'm going to be using the same color paint. The first thing I'm going to do is just pull off the string off 2 of them. I'm going to leave the hanging piece on the back of those, and I'm just going to hot glue these right on each side, leaving the jute cord on the one in the middle. And then I'm going to take that antique wax and I'm going to stain over this entire piece. This DIY is really simple as well, but I think it is really pretty. And so after I get all of that painted, what I'm going to do is just fold up the stem, and I'm going to use the stem as base to hot glue it down so it could be more secured. And then the next thing I'm going to do is just pull apart that other succulent, and because I'm going to hot glue those pieces down separate. I'm going to do 2 on one side and 2 on the other side, and then I'm just going to hot glue these right next to each other. And then I'm going to take those smaller succulents because I'm going to glue those in the middle of each of these pieces. I'm going to repeat that step to the other side, just hot gluing those two next to each other, and then taking that smaller succulent and glue it in the middle. And then after I finish that, this DIY is complete. It was very simple, but I think this turned out really pretty. And so now I'm going to get started on the next DIY. And what I'm going to be using is one of these metal round pieces from the Dollar Tree. I also have some of this decorative moss that I picked up at the Dollar Tree as well. From Michael's, I have 2 more of these really pretty succulents, and these were $1.50 on clearance. I'm just tying a knot where they had like this shoestring look because I didn't like that, and then I'm just going to cut that off. The next thing I'm going to do is take some of that decorative moss, and I'm just going to hot glue that right to one side of this metal piece, and I'm just going to make sure that everything is glued down. Then what I'm going to do is take that one succulent, and I'm going to cut these off separate so that I can hot glue these separate. And as I'm hot gluing these, I'm just making sure that it's connecting to some part of the metal so these will not fall off. And I'm just going to get all of those hot glued down. Then after I get those all tacked down, I'm going to pour the buds off that other succulent because I'm going to glue these down separate as well. And I'm just going to kind of blend those in right above that previous succulent, just right on top of that moss, making sure that everything is connected. And this is really simple, and it is really pretty. Another simple succulent DIY. And now I'm going to get started on the next DIY for today. And for that DIY, I'm going to be using another one of those round hoops from Hobby Lobby for $1.99. I have this little potted succulent decor. It did have a succulent in it from the Dollar Tree, but I pulled it out, and I have this potted succulent from the Dollar Tree, but I'm going to use this one instead. So I'm going to use the same color paint choices, but I'm going to add that Waverly White chalk paint. What I'm going to do is just pour this foam piece out so that I can sand this down, because I'm going to paint this using that antique color. And so after I get all of that sanded down, I'm just going to go over this with 2 coats. And then I'm going to paint that wood ring using that Waverly White. And then I'm just going to take my Dollar Tree sanding block just to distress it a little bit. Then after I get that complete, I'm going to create a little small hoop to staple to the top so that I'll be able to hang this piece. After I get that complete, what I'm going to do is just hot glue that little pot right down to the bottom. Another simple succulent DIY, and then I'm just going to add that foam right back to it, and then I'm going to add in the succulent. I am just hot gluing a little bit of that moss on top, and this DIY is complete. This is so simple, but this is another cute one. And now for the next DIY, I'm going to be using these boxes here that I picked up from Michael's, and these was on clearance for $1. I'm only going to be using the outside. I'm not going to use the inserts. I have some moss here from the Dollar Tree, and also from the Dollar Tree I have 6 of these succulents. These are actually my favorite succulents from the Dollar Tree. The first thing I'm going to do is glue these 3 boxes together. I am using some wood glue as well as my hot glue, and I'm just gluing them together side by side. After I get all of those attached, what I'm going to do is take my painter's tape, and I'm going to add my painter's tape just to the bottom of this piece because I only want to stain the bottom. So I'm just going to add the tape all the way around so that I can go in with that paint and just paint the bottom of this. So I am going to brush on the paint, and then I'm going to take my paper towel and just wipe off the excess. That way I can get that stained look. And so after I get that complete, I'm just going to remove that painter's tape, and then I'm going to go in and add that moss from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use this whole bag, and then I'm going to add the remaining bag from the decorative moss. And then all I have to do is take the clips off those Dollar Tree succulents, and then I'm going to add 2 to each one of the boxes, and then this DIY is complete. This looks so high end. I absolutely love this piece. And so now I'm going to get started on the last DIY for today. I picked up some of these little wood pieces. I guess these are coasters. They always are in Ross for $4.99. I also have 3 of these pretty succulents with the clips from the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to be using some jute cord. Now what I'm going to do first is I'm going to measure 3 long pieces of jute cord. I originally was going to do 3 separate sizes so that I can cluster these when I style them, but I decided to just do them the same size because I'm going to want to switch this up, and so the way I'm going to switch them up, they need to be the same size. So I'm just adding 3 staples to the back of these, and I'm going to do each one the same way. And then after I get that complete, all I have to do is hot glue those succulents into these pieces, and this DIY is done. So what I'm going to do is style these all together as a cluster, or you can style these separate, but I really like how these turned out. It has a nice high-end look to them, and that's why I said at first I'm just going to do different sizes, but I'm going to style these another way, and I wanted them to have the same length. But I think they all came out beautiful, and here is a second look of all of the succulent DIYs I created today. Thank you all so much again for watching another one of my videos. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If so, please remember to give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already done so, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to my channel because I would love to have you here. As always, in the comment section below, let me know which one of these DIYs were your favorite. And until next time, my friends, stay safe so I can see you in the next video. Also, I want to tell you about my second channel, All Things Lovely. On that channel, I will be doing product reviews, hauls, self-care tips, beauty tips, and much, much more. I'm going to link that channel in the description box below, and I would truly appreciate if you come on over and visit that channel as well.